welcome back to my channel. Today we'll be talking about Dine with a Vampire by PANGIN. Before we get started, there will be spoilers, so if you don't want to be spoiled on this manhwa, go ahead and click off now. No worries, I'll catch you next time. Now for those of you left behind, let's talk about some content warnings. There may be references to rape, sextortion or blackmail, domestic abuse, violence, blood, capital punishment, stalking, kidnapping, homophobia, cheating, torture, homophobic slurs, PTSD, self-harm, cannibalism, suicidal ideation, and murder as they do appear in this manhwa. If you're all good with that though, let's go ahead and get started. So let's start out with a quick synopsis. Soo-in spends every day living in utter hell. He lives in a world stuck between guilt and rage, love and vengeance, and complacency and revenge. The best he can do on a day-to-day basis is to try not to anger his roommate Sung-ha. Why Sung-ha? Because Sung-ha spends every day torturing and beating Soo-in because Soo-in fell in love with him. Soo-in could leave, but his guilt won't allow him to, as he feels his love for Sung-ha has turned him into a monster. So he endures the cruelty, but not without hoping that someday he can escape. Then, while at work, Soo-in meets another kind of monster. He runs into the owner of the restaurant he works at, Chi-won. Because of a cut on Soo-in's finger, it turns out that Chi-won is a vampire, but not just any vampire. Instead, he is a vampire that can't drink human blood and must subsist off the hearts of his fellow vampire brethren. For some reason, he's drawn to Soo-in's blood, and when he gets a taste of it, he finds it perfectly palatable when human blood hasn't been for so long. Desperate to ensure Soo-in stays safe and alive and well so he can partake in his blood, Chi-won makes him an offer Soo-in can't refuse. Chi-won will kill for Soo-in, including Sung-ha. All Soo-in has to do is give him his blood. Alright, so let's start out with the artwork. It's sometimes really, really beautiful, but sometimes it's unfortunate to look at. The style is very inconsistent and a bit flat with the coloring style. And one of the major issues is definitely Soo-in's hair. He has a wavy hair texture, but due to the flat style and the inconsistencies, it sometimes looks like Play-Doh. Chi-won isn't all that attractive to me either. He's one of the few male leads in existence that I'm not immediately attracted to. I have to say though, when Soo-in is drawn well, he looks breathtakingly beautiful. There are some panels that are some of the prettiest in existence, but there are so many inconsistencies throughout that I'm not sure they're worth it. So for this to be as dark as it is, it has some extremely fluffy moments to counteract the horrors we see at the very beginning. Just a warning, this pulls no punches when it comes to the dark stuff. In the first few episodes, we see Soo-in being raped and tormented by Sung-ha. On the other side of things, Chi-won is sweet and loving to Soo-in, though he's pretty controlling, and the fact that their connection is predicated on Chi-won taking advantage of Soo-in living with his rapist makes it hard to like Chi-won. Chi-won doesn't rape or abuse Soo-in, but he does leverage Soo-in's weak mental state and desperate need for love to get what he wants. There's a very telling part where Sung-ha impersonates a bodyguard to get close to Soo-in while trying to win Soo-in's trust. Sung-ha presumes Chi-won and Soo-in are lovers since they kiss and have sex, but Soo-in says otherwise. This makes Soo-in wonder what the difference is between what Sung-ha did to him versus what Chi-won did to him. The difference is that he wants Chi-won, and Chi-won is kind to him. The fact that he has to compare them shows just how warped Soo-in's view of love and relationships are. He's always on the weak side of any power dynamic, whether with Chi-won or Sung-ha. This is why he has to question what the difference is between his relationship with Chi-won and his relationship with Sung-ha. Soo-in's concepts of love and relationships are muddled in sex, ownership, and worth. Though Chi-won does treat Soo-in better, it has an undercurrent of manipulation and control, which taints the fluff a little bit. I feel like I've been pretty negative this far, so I want to be clear. I actually do like this one. It's definitely toxic, but sweet and fluffy, and has a fun dynamic switch. I really like that Soo-in becomes the vampire and Chi-won becomes his link, which puts most of the power in Soo-in's hands. I love when a person who's typically the weaker person in the relationship, or relationships, suddenly gets more power on their side. I think how we got there is pretty weak, but it was still highly satisfying to see in the end. So with all that being said, this is a dark, sexy, and fluffy romp. It isn't the prettiest thing you'll see in the world, and the narrative isn't terribly strong with its superficial rules and unexplained caveats, but it's fun and different from other manhwa. It's also an interesting take on the vampire archetype that I haven't seen. I think it's worth a read, especially if you just want lots of sex with a very pretty bottom. However, if art and narrative are essential to you, this one may be a miss. So have you read Dine with a Vampire? If so, what do you think? Do you agree with my assessment? do not. Let me know and comment below. Otherwise, I'll catch you next time. Bye!